On today's episode, I have my friend Abel join us as we speak about education and expectations and forcefulness to get into college and future endeavors. This is Rooted with Robert, reminding you to breathe that beautiful air and embrace each moment. Everyone, welcome back to Rooted with Robert. Today is kind of a first of a new segment I'm kind of going with called Rooted with Friends. And on today's episode, I have a good friend of mine, Abel. I've known him for like 10 years now, and just been good friends for a long time. So Abel, if you want to just kind of tell the rooters here a little bit about yourself.
All right, so like you said, my name's Abel. I'm just a student, part-time, at a community college, working part-time too, overnights, just trying to get that associate's degree, and then trying to get into like a union, hopefully. So nice. That's pretty much what I'm just pursuing.
All right, so yeah, Abel's, me and Abel, this is kind of interesting because we've been talking a lot about education and kind of like the school system, and it's really interesting because me and Abel, once we graduated from high school, went a couple different routes. I mean, I went straight to a 4-year university. What, you took some time off?
I probably took about, I think it was about 2 years. I just worked for 2 years.
Worked for 2 years, full-time, and then kind of went back to community college.
Yeah, after 2 years, I just decided to go back to community college, get an associate's.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, we each have our own different education experience, I guess, but
or different routes.
Yeah, but you know, it's where we get exposed to different things though, so it's kind of interesting. But you were talking the other day about, I mean, I know you were tweeting about it. you're like pissed off about it, man. Like,
oh yeah,
what was going on? Your class. So at your community college, your class was having some online based stuff that you just didn't agree with, or something like that.
Yeah, there was So basically, it's a class that obviously you show up to, and stuff like that, and it's a lecture. However, when you buy the book, you have to buy a code, like an access code to access like a third-party learning thing, and all your assignments are due on that. So, I mean, what was pissing me off is why are we paying, these teachers when they're not even like teaching us anything, because it's all on that third-party thing. I mean, we'll show up to class and learn something, and the test won't even be anything like it. Mm-hmm. Or, like, the assignments won't be anything like it, and the teacher didn't even know, what assignments we were on or anything like that. So it was just really pissing me off, and I got into it with the teacher a little bit, but I just didn't agree with it at all. And then I looked at it as a whole about school and just everything, and I don't know, it just made me even more mad.
Well, I mean, it's a fair point, though, because when you register for classes, you got to pay for the tuition, and then you're expecting to, I mean, even at a community college, you hope it's technically like higher education, so you're expecting to like learn new things, new material, instead of having to pay for an online code and then learn from an online software. When you have a teacher who's giving a lecture and it's unrelated, so like that makes sense. But obviously, where I come, my standpoint, my background is there's also, at my 4 university, I have, the 2 extra years past the community college level. So I've been in classes that are like 300 level classes with professor lecturing to like 30 kids, mm-hmm. and it's on an in-depth topic. So there's like, it's hard to say because I think the education system itself is flawed for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I also think it's not all like wrong, I think, I don't know, it's just hard though because there's people that it really depends on the reason why you're going to school and what school is going to do for you. Because I mean, I could really think of a number of people that are going to school and they're there more so for the experience of college itself than for the education. So yeah, education takes the back burner. And I understand how it's a good, you're away from home, you have all this freedom, independence. It's a good time to explore all these different realms and stuff like that. But at least in my opinion, I do think if you're paying all this money, or at least will be paying if you're taking out loans, you need to have a good focus on the learning itself. You know, I see too many people just, they're living for the weekends, man. Like, they just, in my head, I'm thinking about the typical procrastinate and then having to take a substance like Adderall to make up for all the lost time, to cram it all right before a test. Mm-hmm. Because over all those weeks where they weren't doing anything, they were too busy coming back from class, if they even went to class, going to a buddy's house, drinking, smoking, and living their life, which there's a part of that which I agree with, because it's like you get a freedom that you never really get anywhere else. But I don't know, man. I think for that much money, you got to put something into it. Like, I've realized that probably midway through my second year, I was like, shit, man. Like, when the numbers really started hitting me, I was like, I'm coming out of this with, like, so much money in debt. And I was also coming off of, like, finishing up my gen eds, starting my coursework in the major itself. So I was getting more interested. But I was like, I'm here. I'm only going to be here once. I'm only going to be in these classes once. So I was just trying to learn as much as I could about whatever.
Yeah, you want to take as much as you could away from what you're putting into it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you put it, and here's the other thing though.
It's not only that you're putting in money though. I mean, you're putting in, like you said, it's a 4-year university. You're putting in time, and then however long it's going to take you to pay that off. Because I mean, think about it. I mean, you go to school for 4 years, and then you take out a loan for however long you take it out for. Add that on, and let's just say it's 10 years. That's 10 years of time.
Yeah.
You want to get the most out for it.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is, it's like going back to why you're going to school. I think there's different reasons here, and obviously there's a lot. There's certain reasons that make more sense financially, like if you're going to school for that degree to convert to a job, like instantly. Like, I need this to convert to this. Yeah. So then that money comes in, and that's what I'm going to be doing. But then, like, dude, you can also just go to college just to learn about, like, anything.
But that's a thing, though. I mean, I feel that in this world, we're pushed to just go to school. Like, there is no other route. Compared to before, it was, you can either go to college, or you can go, into a trade, or you can do this, you can do that, or you can make it without going to school. But nowadays, it's so hard, and you're just forced to go to school, and if you don't go, you're looked at like what the heck? Mm-hmm. Like why are you not doing that? You're looked at poorly, yeah. Which I think is very wrong. So then you get a lot of these people taking out, these loans or whatever, and that's how you get the people living for the weekend, because they're going there forced, and they're just trying to get by. That's it, mm-hmm. Just because they were told to.
Yeah.
So obviously they're not going to want to do it, but it's just what the world forces on them.
Yes, those cultural expectations and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like the societal pressure. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is, it's like there's the reality of societal pressure, then there's like the perception of what it is. And like, I think, because the reality is not really like you have to go to school though, but it's like we somehow grow up to think that that's what the reality is. Mm-hmm. Because, there's, in our society, there's a lot of people that are famous, are rich from not following these traditional methods. So it's really like how you're brought up and how those perceptions are given to you. I know from personal experience, I definitely was not ready to go to college right out of high school. But I didn't know what I was doing, like what I wanted,
you would have done,
who I was. Dude, I didn't know anything. So it's hard to say. So here I am, a psychology major, graduating in May. Had an idea of what I want. Actually, backtrack. Didn't even go to college for psychology. Went to college for exercise science. Yeah. I was going to be a physical therapist. And then had a change of heart the first year, change to psychology, because I've always been interested in it. I've been in it since. Had the intention of going post-undergrad to master's, maybe PhD, but likely not. And then here I am now, not sure what I want to do.
Yeah.
And So I've had this debate of education in my head for a long time. I put all this money in because I didn't know what I wanted to. I was rushed into it. I could have went to a community college route or taken time off, but I think even going to the community college still gives you time off because you can work, go to school, and the schooling is not specialized. It's kind of just like you're getting that general education.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, that's what the first 2 years are.
Yeah.
No matter where you go.
But you're commuting, which is like the whole thing. So in my pros and cons mindset, all I think about is, well, and it doesn't help that like I tell people I'm a psych major and I don't know what I want to do with my life because they're like, oh yeah,
Typical.
I could have told you that.
Mm-hmm.
I could have told you that. But it's like that's not really how it is. It's only because I was forced into it thinking that's what I wanted to do and then just developing personally. But I guess this is like leading to what I'm thinking. College is also an experience to develop yourself fully in like all aspects, which I think you don't get when you're going to community college, when you have to work, when you living at home still.
Mm-hmm.
You get like a little break. You take out loans, you go away, you pay for housing and stuff like that. But you go away, you almost have like a break in your life. You have 4 years of your life that you don't have to do anything besides go to school and learn. And in my case, I almost had it easy because I was so interested in psychology, it came natural to me.
Yeah.
So I was enjoying the classes I was taking, but more so, my coursework also coincided with my own journey of developing and becoming who I am today. So when I do this whole pros and cons of like, was my education worth it? I mean, it's hard to say because for the amount of money I put in, I'm not really getting a transferable degree necessarily, something that's going to convert to a high-paying job, and it probably won't with the bachelor's, but at the same time, I've learned so much about myself and the world around me that if I didn't go there, I probably wouldn't have gotten it for who knows how long.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to have you touch upon this because we talked about this too. It's like when you're at school, though, you don't get as much street smarts. But when you're back at home, you don't get as much of like that abstract thought, I think.
So, I guess you can say Robert and I are complete opposites in the route that we took, but we were very alike coming out of high school. I mean, we were both good in school. I didn't like it. He liked it. But when we came out, I guess you can say he knew what he wanted to do, but didn't fully know what he wanted to do. And I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I wasn't for school, so I took the work route, and I found things in myself that I would have never found if I went to school. And I feel that I learned like who I was by not even going to school and just getting, like you said, street smarts and just other other education from people in the workplace and stuff like that, just asking questions and stuff that school doesn't teach you.
You're learning more about the world that you live in itself.
Yeah, I'm
like
learning more
my
about the
place
world.
in the world when it comes down to society and like people's contributions. So like working, when you pay for things, like taxes, like you're learning about all like that type of contribution from a person to whatever. But then at school, it's like you still get some of that too. Like I've still have come out with a lot of that stuff, like internships, out of class experiences. You do a lot of that stuff, but it's not in the workplace setting, which is what differs. But at the same time,
you also got to be you got to strive for that though, because not everyone's going to go do internships. Not everyone's going to go do research or take full advantage of what the school offers.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you really got to, in my opinion, you really got to go get it.
Well, dude, that's like, I think that's this big part of this. I don't know where this statistic came from. It's like the whole thing with like all these people coming out of college and they're not getting jobs. But it's, if you're taking that statistic, you're also getting all the people, kind of like what you're saying, that go in and half-ass it. And then they come out and they don't have any like personal skills developed. Like they have the degree because, dude, it's so easy to get a degree. Like that's what people don't understand. Like it's so easy to get a degree. I can get like C's with not even trying. I mean, you just do minimum work and you could get a fucking degree. But like for me, it's like excelling at what I'm doing, making the most out of my education, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's what differs from like those people and then the people that come out with a degree and like they can't get a job. Well, you can't blame the college for not giving you a job. You got to blame how you used the resources that you had. Because college does provide you a lot of resources, get a lot of connections to job offers. I mean, there's career fairs twice a year, internship fairs. I mean, we have a career center in my school that will help you with your resume, help you with like all this other stuff and like practice interviews and stuff like that, which obviously relates more to like the higher education if you're gonna, whatever kind of job you want to go into. That's kind of the process, but I don't know, man. There's pros and cons to both, I think, and I think it's good to experience both worlds because and that's another thing though. It's like in my situation, I had a practice of abstract thinking where it wasn't just how do I fit in this world when it comes to my contribution with money and the reality. It's also like, where do I fit in this world, like existentially? Like, who are we? Like, what? Like that's the route I took in college because you start realizing all those things when you leave high school, and the world is like not structured anymore. It's not like you're not forced putting into all these like things. Now you got to go to third period. Now you got to go to fourth period. You come into college and you're like, well, shit, I got this class schedule, but anything other than that is all me.
Yeah.
So then you have to think about it. You have to kind of determine your own purpose. But when people start using up that free time with drugs and distractions and all this other shit,
partying, living for the weekend,
because that's what they find useful. Yeah, I agree. Like, you definitely get the social aspect out of it. Like, it's good to make those friends, and that can even in the future make you connections. But at the same time, there's so many other aspects. Like, I think the intellectual aspect of college is super important. That's obviously why you're going to learn information about a specific topic. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think it depends on the program. If you're a business major, you have different things to do than if you're a bio major. I mean,
and they're complete opposites.
Yeah, they're gonna be harder. Some are gonna be easier than others, and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing with higher education is what you're putting into it is what you're gonna get out, or at least it'll give you an idea. Because
I think that's hard to say because coming out of college and you go to apply for some of these jobs and they simply say you don't have any work experience. Well, you can't have the best of both worlds. You can't have work experience in higher education, and then you also look at the person that didn't go to a university. Oh, you don't have a 4-year degree, or you don't have this degree. You can't win. It's like a double-edged sword at sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to find that happy median, and that's, some of the higher paying jobs, they want both of them, but you can't do it.
This is why it's ideal to know what you want to do before you make a decision, right?
But that's so hard because, you're in middle school and they're already like, oh, here's what you want to do for college, what are you going to do for college, blah, blah, blah. It's always surrounding you from all the way back to middle school into early on in high school. You're already starting to take all these tests. And by junior year, you're 17. Yeah. By 17, you already have to be applying, taking ACT, and to me, that's too young. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You don't know anything. At 16, if you're lucky, you can go get a job. But, I feel that you don't know who you really are. You don't got a taste of the world at all.
I think it's really, a lot of it's social influenced, I think, because social influence and then also just, I don't know, it's just so much pressure, man, because you're coming out, your senior year, you're in that stage where it's like, I have to apply for colleges, and you have like this gap of time that's like, I can only apply within this gap of time, otherwise I miss the
cutoff date.
The cutoff, and I can't go to college. So like now you're already pressed to make a decision, like, am I going, am I not going? And then also, I think it's socially influenced because if you're not socially influencing and make your decisions based off your own wants and needs, it's easier to kind of be like, to figure out like, oh, I don't know what I want to do, I'm taking some time off. But like when social influence comes into play, you're like, well, if all of these people I'm around right now are going off to school and I'm not, then like now I'm excluded. And it comes like I'm missing out on like all these possibilities. But no one tells you what the alternatives are. Hey, if you don't go to school right away, you could still go to school. You know, it's like there's no, I don't think it's just communicated enough.
I definitely agree.
It's either you go to 4-year, you go to community college, or you just start working like.
They say you can go into the army and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they give you like all these like paths, but they don't tell you how like to do all of them in like a different timeline.
I definitely feel like you said, the one that's stressed the most is going to a 4-year university.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other one would probably be going into the Army or the Marines. But even if you're doing that route, going into the Army and the Marines, you already have to be doing ROTC, which that starts freshman year.
Yeah.
So at a young age, you still got to know what you want to do.
And it's hard because some people go into that because they're looking for meaning.
Yeah.
And it's not because they want to pursue that in the future, but like in that moment, it's like, I need to fit in with someone. I need to, it's another social group, man. ROTC is just another social group.
Yeah.
It just has a different
form.
Yeah, meaning and form behind it. But then I also don't want to take away from those people that also right out of high school already knew what they want to do, like exactly, like, oh, I want to be this, so I know I have to go to school for this, and
yeah,
and they're successful right out the bat. You can already tell in high school that who those people are. But I think it's just so wrong how people are going to the college and they're deciding like, dude. Well, the biggest thing that gets me is like undecided majors. It really like throws me off. It's like you came into school undecided. Like that just seems wrong.
It definitely does seem wrong.
Like, and I get it. You can like still take some gen eds and be good as an undecided, but if you're undecided, I don't know.
I feel like if you're undecided, then you shouldn't have even
gone
to that 4-year university. You should have just stayed home, gone to a community college, and found who you are. Because undecided really means that you're undecided on who you are.
Yeah, like I don't know what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm at this school, but I don't know what I want to do here.
Yeah.
I mean, you still get that experience of independence and stuff like that, but
you're just more so you're just following. Yeah. Like you said, you have all that social stress. You know, so and so's going to college, so and so's doing this. Well, everyone's going, so I have to go too. But you don't have to do that. I mean,
yeah, you really don't. I mean,
because they're not going to be the one paying your bills.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, and yeah, it's in those people that have to pay their own bills fully. I think they understand it earlier on. Those people that are maybe not allowed or can't even take out loans or whatever reason they have, I think they see it earlier on because it's like their money is being spent. It's more easily noticed that the money is leaving, so they have to make a decision that's reflecting that. Like
yeah.
But yeah, undecided just kind of throws me off a little bit. And then, because then you got to go back, then you have to, if you're undecided, you have to go into the mindset of, well, what major do I want to choose? And like, that's a bad start itself. Yeah, you're trying to pick, like.
Here's a piece of paper with all the majors that we offer. Pick one.
It's like, which one do you want? It's like, that's just a bad start because you should go in saying, I want to do this, and then look if they have that.
Yeah.
Instead of picking, which I'm not going to lie, I ended up doing that. I went for exercise science, and then I had to pick. But I don't know. I kind of pussied out a little bit, man. I'm not going to lie, man. I took a bio class.
You went in knowing somewhat of what you wanted to do compared to just going in with nothing.
I mean, I guess
so I could say. You went in with, I want to do exercise science and become a physical therapist. You had a goal intended already, so yeah. That's fine.
At least at the time.
Okay, you take some hard classes, you realize this isn't for you. That's fine. Compared to you're undecided, you're going and I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what kind of job I want to do. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
You have no intentions. You have no goals. You don't have anything to keep you going, to strive for.
Yeah, and those are probably the people that suffer from the frequent mental illnesses, and escapism, using their time for other things that they think are important. And it relates though. You go in there solely for social influence. So then while you're there, you just start partying, you start hanging socially. Like
that is your goal.
Yeah, it becomes like, I'm here to socialize and hang out and have a good time. But you can still do that. Like I I'm really not trying to brag or anything like that, but as an example, I have like a 3.84 GPA right now. And dude, I can still go out any weekend if I wanted to and get shit-faced if I really wanted to do that. I mean, I don't do that, but if I wanted to, the time is there, man. Like, you can just make the time. You just have to prioritize what's important and stuff like that. Oh, man. I think the biggest thing with this whole education is it relates to knowing what you want to do early on, as well as the timeline of events, of you needing to decide what you want to do, when you want to do it, where to go, how you're going to pay for it. Education is a tough one. I think it's a great opportunity, but it's not taught in high school enough to give you all the resources to be prepared to make that decision.
So I guess we can talk about how would you resolve, or what would our,
how would we kind of adjust it a little
how do we adjust it, or how would we resolve the problems or the flaws?
I think people just have to be okay and comfortable with not going to school right away and looking at alternative options if you don't know what you want to do.
I agree with you, and I think, like you said earlier, communication, it needs to be communicated more when you're younger, that you only have to go to college. The other routes are available, and blah blah blah. But I think it just comes down to communication.
I mean, because dude, like, how many times are parents forcing, like, you're going to college because they don't want you to be a degenerate doing nothing. But it's like, at the same time, they're not thinking about the fact that you can send them to college, but you don't know what they want to do, then
there's no point.
You're really wasting money, because college, I mean, it's definitely big to be utilized if you have an idea with what you want to do. Going in, achieving your education in that field, now you have specialized knowledge to go take into the workplace. That's what a degree is supposed to be. It's supposed to signify, hey, I've learned all this stuff. So if I'm a psychology major and there actually was psychology jobs that pay good for once with a bachelor's degree, that would communicate like, hey, I've had several years of learning about human behavior and all this stuff. That puts me aside from normal people. But it's not like that. I mean, psychology is a bad example because it's really introductory. You gotta go into graduate courses to get really in depth. But I mean, for me, it wasn't like that though. I came out. I have this semester left and then one more, but I came out. Where I am right now. I've learned more about people in life than what my classes taught me, because they teach you you're taught one way, and then you receive the information one way.
Yeah.
But it's like there's that barrier. It's like how it's given to you and then how you receive it. You can either receive it how they're giving it to you, like how they want you to take it, or you can just absorb it however you want. Which is why I admire my buddy Christian, who I've had on the podcast a couple of times already, because I mean he's like 25, 26 now. He's in the same grade level as I am now. So he took some time off or whatever, came back. And when he's in class, dude, he doesn't give a crap about what other people think, man. He'll raise his hand if he has questions. He'll ask, and his questions are like very thoughtful, like relating other stuff that he's learned from other classes, connecting it with what he's learning, what has come up in that class right there, and trying to see if it makes sense. Like, that's learning right there. Like, that's pure, like, I'm absorbing anything I'm coming in, making the connections myself, and then now, after that, you have this formulated idea of the information. But these people...
That's what you take away from it.
Yeah.
What are you
you take away
from
more when you do it that way.
Yeah.
Because you're processing the information. Whereas people are like, typical stuck in high school, like, give me study guides so I know what you want. So if I plug in X,
I get Z.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you give me this, I do this, and I get this. But it's like, you don't learn anything like that. And I mean, I guess that's also the distinguishing factor between gen eds and major courses and specialized stuff. You should get into more material, but you can still approach it the same way. But yeah, it's fucking education just kind of trips me up. I wish I would have taken more time off, but at the same time, I just have to know that I'm here right now for a reason. Like I'm where I'm meant to be right now, and I think this kind of goes to anyone who's listening right now. I mean, no matter where you are, if you think you made a bad decision with going to school, going away to school, not going away to school, whatever, where you are right now is where you're meant to be, because now you've done what you've done. I mean, reflect on it, learn from it, see what it's given you, see what it didn't give for you, because now you already have an idea of what to do next.
Yeah, don't take it as time wasted. Just take it as like you said, like what have you reflect on it? Because if you're just like, oh, this is all time wasted and blah blah blah, and you get all down on it, then you're not going to take anything away from it. You're not going to learn from it, and you're not going to get any better.
Yeah, exactly, man. So
I guess I have a question for you, Rob.
What's up?
What would your ideal path would have been? Because you said that you wish you would have taken time off and stuff, but what would your ideal path be?
Well, my ideal path would have been coming out of high school, knowing what I wanted to do, because I already did the significant amount of research. And might go off for a few extra minutes here, but I think this goes back to what we do in high school. Let me bring this back. 7th grade, we had a career project.
Yeah.
What's your career? Do the research on it. Research in quotes, man. That's not even research, man. You can go on the internet. You just go on Google, any site, you type it in, you pull information. Duties, pay. That's all they wanted, man. They didn't want anything. If I'm in college now, we do research. Hey, you have to, like, know what it is, like, what the research is about. So that's the difference. 7th grade, I wanted to be a physical therapist. But as I got older, came into college and was pursuing that route, I realized that the actual demand, like the reality of the position, is just not what I want to do. Like, it still sounds good to me, but just knowing, like, in the position, which I didn't, like, think about, because
day in, day out stuff, right?
Yeah, because you put it in the back of your mind, you're like, you see the label, physical therapist, or engineer, and you're like, that sounds good, that pays good.
I want that.
Yeah, you read the description, you're like, oh, that's pretty good. But you kind of forget that it's like, you have to do this, you'll be doing this for the rest of your life. And of course there's always pros and cons, but that's something I didn't take into consideration earlier on. So my ideal path would be, in high school, having the opportunity to actually look into positions and be open to careers without the pressure of having to choose one. And then taking time off, so graduating high school, probably going to community college, probably right away, get my associates, and then hopefully by then I would just have a better idea with what I want to do, and then either pursue that further education or just keep working until something else comes up. I think for me, the biggest constraint that I had was the time crunch. I thought the pressure was on. I had to make a decision now. I can't wait. I can't go back to school in 2 years, because when I graduate, the people that I went to high school with already graduated, and then I'm behind.
Yeah.
But you forget that it's like, once you get out of high school, that stuff doesn't
mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. There's no longer like the whole, dude, it's like all growing up, man. It's just growing up. Because when you're in high school, you care about, like, if you have to retake stuff and you don't graduate with your graduating class, you, like, feel like crap. Like, oh man, all these people I've because at that point you're going to school with these kids for 4 years, 8 years, even if you're in the same district.
Yeah.
So you're seeing these peers around you, everyone's rising at the same time, they're graduating, and like you're left out. So like that kind of carries on. Like you want to still be alongside with everyone.
Yeah, you want to graduate college at the same time.
Yeah. So I think the whole pressure aspect is what really like forced me to do something that I didn't necessarily want to do. However, I think, like you said, you pointed out, I did go into college with the plan, the game plan.
Yeah.
Getting this degree, going to graduate. I was gonna go to, like, I was doing it. I was like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to graduate school. I'm going to go get my after graduate school stuff, get my license, become a physical therapist. That was it. But, shit happens in the moment, man. I'm in class. I'm like, I don't know. Well, for me, it was the bio class, man. It was a higher level bio class, and I got a B in it, but, like, I really did not enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have 4 years of this shit, man. There's also chemistry I have to take, physics, which I don't mind physics too much. Physics and anatomy and all this stuff, which I don't mind some of that. But for 4 years of having lecture and lab, because that's all lab stuff, I was like, I'm not going to do this, man. I thought my well-being was going to suffer too much, so I pulled out, went to psychology. Way easier. I'm not going to lie. It was super easy, man. Super easy. But I also think it's because I'm just naturally inclined to understand that. I just understand people easy. Dude, like, I try to tell people all the time, like, what I know about people is not from my degree. Like, that's helped. It's helped to learn about things in textbooks. It's helped solidify, put definitions, kind of confine things a little bit better for me to understand. But my ability to, like, see someone and, like, pick up their vibe,
different vibes,
observe their behavior, kind of have a feel has just been naturally there with me. So when I take these classes, I can make connections quicker because I'm like, oh, this makes sense with what I have. They just have a name for it. So
you're like that one kid in class that's always like that kid in math class that's always like, oh, I know the answer already. That's kind of how you are. You just pick it up better, and you just have a natural
tendency to
pick it up.
Yeah, to absorb the information. And despite if I go to grad school or not, I've learned so many skills coming out of this that I think I could just, it's all about being comfortable with not following the traditional pathways, I think, because I don't have to. I'd be okay with working a job that doesn't pay that well and then getting another job that pays better, but it's like unrelated. It's always like, as long as you find some kind of enjoyment in it, I think it's all right. I'm still balancing like the whole fulfillment aspect. I want to have a job that's fulfilling, a career, a vocation, whatever. I want a passionate job, but I think, especially in today's world, you can almost just create that yourself. Like, if I really wanted to be a musician, I could just make music every day, as long as I was like good and whatever, had some talent. Just did that every day, grinded it out. That could potentially convert into a career. And I think in today's day and age, that's possible. So right now I'm looking at alternatives with what I can do with my degree and just who I am. Because all I have to give to employers is me. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to give you my resume because that doesn't mean anything. It's supposed to reflect who I am. So if I could just give people right off the bat, be like, yo, man, this is what I can do, this is whatever, then I'll go that route. I think, in the future, I can even open up my own practices, do whatever, as long as I follow, I guess, legal terms and stuff like that. You got to be licensed to practice, but it doesn't have to be like a counselor practice. It could just seriously be like, I could just be helping people out in some other different way that ends up paying me back. But I think the biggest thing for me is going in, just following what I feel is right for myself, following what I want to do, not what people want me to do, and just seeing where it takes me. Follow each moment as it comes, make my own decisions about it. And I think at the end you end up at a place where you're just meant to be in general. So that's my path, man. That's my ideal path, man. It's a long path with
definitely long.
With a lot of interjections that you got to deal with, but in the end, I think that's just the right way to go to make sure that we're all aligned with what we truly want to do. So, but yeah, man, I just I want to thank Abel for coming on the podcast here. I really thought about this topic for a while, and especially after having conversations, I think it's super related to this whole being rooted concept, because being rooted is almost just knowing where you are, knowing where you stand. And that plays a big role when it comes to pursuing further education, making that decision to pursue education or pursuing even further education after you already pursued education. So, yeah, I hope everyone listening and kind of related to some stuff, I think it's an issue that really just needs to be talked about more. Just
for sure.
That transition period, man, between high school and in college it's too much of a blur.
It's definitely a blur, and I feel like Rooted Robert can be only about education. Like that's how much it can be talked about. You can go in so much in education,
For
but
real.
we just touch bases on it.
Hey man, this is education itself, man. Educating the listeners, man. Just say you talk about some things and people have their own thoughts about it, man, and they might take something away from it. That's education itself. I'm not trying to make you believe my ideas, but if I speak my ideas, my opinions, and someone else has their own opinion, we talk about it.
Yeah, we talk about it.
We talk about it, but yeah, man. So just want to thank you for coming out, man. Coming on the podcast.
No problem.
Probably have Abel on future podcast, I'm sure.
I'll be definitely looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we got some more podcasts coming next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you, and have a beautiful, blessed Sunday.